Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dave from Evil Eye Games. I just wanted to go ahead and push out a quick update and give you guys a heads up as to what's going on my end of things. So I recently published that video talking about where I was going to be going with this channel, and I kind of mentioned that maybe I wasn't going to be doing tutorials anymore, and I got a lot of feedback from you guys, specifically that people wanted me to continue doing tutorials, and I definitely enjoy doing the tutorials, but I'm going to have to do it in sort of a metered fashion. And so what I want to go ahead and do is take what I've learned from making the videos for the third-person cover shooter series and give it sort of a reboot. Now, I've gotten a lot of feedback from doing that third-person cover shooter series, and the most common feedback that I got back from doing that series is that the cost of entry was rather steep. I was using assets that required to be bought, and there were people who wanted to follow along, but they didn't necessarily have the money to be spending on those assets, or it might have been the case that they were newer to the engine and they just wanted something to learn on how to make a game within the engine. Now, honestly, it wasn't my intention for the third-person shooter cover series to necessarily be for beginners, but as I went on with the tutorial series, I found that a lot of the questions that I was getting from people were from people who were newer to the engine and were basically using it as an entry point. Now, I hadn't originally intended for the third-person shooter cover series to be an entry point into making games in Unreal Engine 4, and perhaps that was because I didn't make it clear enough when making the series at the beginning. So I want to go ahead and create a series for beginners within Unreal Engine and making a third-person shooter game. And the primary focus will be on people just getting into the engine and people looking to learn more about the engine itself. And then as an added bonus, I want to focus on using assets that are freely available to beginners so they don't actually have to plunk down any cash in order to get into the tutorial series. So that way, this tutorial series is going to open up for more people who can participate in making a game and for more people to get into making games. And I definitely think it's a great idea to get more people into making games in Unreal Engine 4. So basically, this new tutorial series is going to focus on using free content to create a game within Unreal Engine 4, and it's going to be accessible to everybody because there's not going to be any paid entry to get into making games. And my approach to making this tutorial series is going to focus around being more detail-oriented and explaining how the engine works as we go through the process. And as an added benefit, I also want to explain why I'm doing the things I'm doing as I'm doing them. One of the very important things to understand when making a game or learning how to make a game is that at some point you're going to have to make a decision on how to execute what you want to do. And you have to be able to make a decision on how that execution is going to be done. So this gives me a chance to explain why I'm making the decisions that I'm making and the fact that there are alternatives to the way that I'm doing something. So right now I'm just kind of finalizing plans and ideas for getting this into motion. Hopefully, I'll be able to kick this off next week. And alongside the tutorial series, I still want to go ahead and do the videos where I talk about gaming in general, where I'm either going to talk about game design ideas or gameplay ideas or just talking about games in general. I definitely love video games, and I have been playing video games for most of my life. And I've definitely been invested in technology and learning about technology for the majority of my life as well. So having a series to talk about games and things that go on with games or ideas about designing games or how games are designed and made is something that really interests me alongside the actual technical doing things to make video games. So hopefully you guys like this idea. And with this kind of system, I can go ahead and make smaller tutorial videos that are shorter than what I've been doing, but make them more specific so that I can address each individual step along the process, explain how it's done, and why we're doing things a certain way, or specifically why I'm doing something a specific way. And then I can also, on the side, have another video series where I just basically talk about things that I want to talk about as well, and give you guys a little bit of insight into the way I view video games in the world. And I think this should be a very focused enough approach and a very specific enough approach where I can end up putting out 2 videos a week. So one that's going to go ahead and deal with the actual tutorial itself. And my goal is to keep these tutorial videos a bit shorter, so about 10 to 15 minutes. And then have a video later in the week where I talk about other video game things going on. So if you guys have any feedback or comments about this, you guys can go ahead and leave it down in the comment section below. And of course, you can go ahead and check out my Facebook page as well. I'll leave the link down in the description. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.